Welcome to Interceptor Beyond podcast. My name is Arthur, and today our guests are Max and Daniel of the Spanish rock band The Mothercrow. We're gonna talk about crowdfunding their first album, going analog, and lots of other cool stuff. If you dig this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like what you're hearing, make sure to rate the show everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Spotify. And now on to the show. Hello guys, thank you very much for agreeing to this. Max, Daniel, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay, my name is Max from the Mothercrow from Barcelona. Myself personally, I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, and I've been living here in Barcelona for about 10 years.
10 years. Well, nice. My name is Daniel. I'm Brazilian. I'm from the south of Brazil. I've been living here in Barcelona since 2015 and, making music here with this guy in the Mothercrow. I'm the bass player of the Mothercrow band. And, I've been maybe making music since 12 years old, making lots of kinds of music in Brazil. I started with rock music, of course, and listening to Beatles, Van Halen, this kind of bands, no? And with the acoustic guitar, trying to have some distortion in my acoustic guitar, breaking it in little pieces of the acoustic guitar in order to have this distorted sound. That it was something that really made me engaged in rock music. Really maybe one of the most important things for me is in rock is the sound. Really probably caught my attention.
I read online that you have a PhD in music.
Yeah, well, my PhD is not really in music, it's in anthropology, but my study was in anthropology of music. To be more accurate, is about anthropology of memory. And what I did was to explain what memory is in an anthropological point of view. It takes long. But the question was, I was interviewing people. I was playing with them as well in the 90s in the local rock scene in my city, and interviewing them about their memories about this rock scene in this period of our lives and in this period of this city, and it was really interesting.
I wanted to first tell you how I discovered the Mothercrow. It was, I think, a year ago, and I discovered, if I'm pronouncing the names wrong, please come on tour here, play a show, and then kill me.
Okay, don't worry.
But Magara, yeah, it's correct.
Yeah, Magara. We were saying it the wrong way for a lot of time. And in the beginning, we said Magara, and that's the wrong way. It's Magara. So you said it the right way from the start. So that's good.
I don't really speak Spanish, but I read your interviews with Google Translate and watched on YouTube videos with Google Translate. So I'm guessing, my Spanish skills will improve after this interview. I discovered your album about a year ago, and it's totally awesome, like totally killer music, super analog, like the really cool sound of the analog.
Oh, thank you.
How did you achieve this sound?
Actually, it was kind of a dream of ours to record onto tape. We were going to this studio here in Barcelona with a really nice old tape machine, a really nice mixing desk, and our goal was to record straight onto tape. Unfortunately, the tape machine broke down on the first day of recording.
Oh, shit.
Which is like the negative thing, I guess, about analog is that stuff can break down, and when it breaks down, it's not like you can just fix it really quick and be back up running. Sometimes you need to find like period correct replacement parts, etc. So it can be a pain in the ass. Basically, what we had to do, since we had bought the tapes, the tape machine was working, but the problem was that it was no way of actually knowing where we were on the tape as we were going. Like the counter had broken, and since we had so little time, we didn't really have the time to like do it properly, record onto the tape. So in the end, we had to record it digitally first, and then pass it like all to tape, like basically all the record, and then take it to mixing and then master it on tape. So tape was definitely in the picture, but it was a shame that we couldn't actually record it straight onto the tape as we wanted from the beginning.
So your goal was in the beginning to do it AAA, like analog.
Yeah, that was it. That was the goal. But I mean, when you're in the studio and like the clock is ticking and like every minute is money, and I mean, you have to take decisions quickly. And we were just like, okay, we prepared for this for so long. We're not gonna like stop the recording process and like book dates later on. We're just gonna do this way now, and it's gonna sound almost the same.
How did you feel when you found out that the machine broke down? Man, it's horrible. And it's probably and you said it was in the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was the first day. We were tracking we had just finished tracking the first song, and we were like happy with it in a couple of takes, and we were gonna go on the second one, and that's when we noticed that we had actually recorded over part of the first, because the counter was like incorrect, the digital tape counter, because this is one of like the later tape machines that you can actually see which second, which minute on the tape you're at. So you don't have to like listen to the tape every time you are going to press rec, basically. You're already nervous and you're already like on your toes. And that was just a kind of really, really unfortunate moment. But the owner of the studio, he was very gracious and very nice with us. So he actually gave us some extra recording time for free because we had that bit of technical breakdown.
Do you think it somehow influenced the recording of the album, like the sound? I mean, the emotional situation, I mean, in some cool way maybe, or it was a negative impact?
I mean, I think it was, I'm not sure actually. But definitely, I think that some of the energy, probably on some of the first tracks that we recorded, can still have maybe a little bit of that. What do you say? Like not anger, but frustration. Like we actually had like a lot of the nervous feelings, and and so every time we had to really bang a song out, I think maybe that showed through. Maybe it was a positive thing. I don't know.
Well, shit happens. I mean, you can't really plan for this kind of thing. I mean, you can always, in this case, you can always go to digital, but still, you never know. What was the concept behind the album? Was there a concept?
Well, it's not like we didn't write the songs with a concept in mind, but like the concept behind the album is related to the name of the album.
How do you translate the word for the non-Spanish
speakers? No, it's actually not a Spanish word. Like it's a concept, like it's a religious concept from like animistic religions, I think you say. Basically some
tribe from Africa, no? Something like that, no? I don't
remember. Yeah, basically it's our singer, Karen, she can explain this much better.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's asking you this, maybe you're even tired about this question.
No.
But Magara, it has to do, I remember I wasn't in the band and in the time they composed the album, but Magara has to do, I'm not sure, but Magara has to do with all this energy that passes through us and passes through things and through animals, through plants. This kind of thing, very holistic thing,
Yeah, it's like kind of like
how you have to do with the universe and all the energy in the planet, and how everything is related to each other in the world, in the universe.
So was it like a basis for choosing instruments? I saw that you used interesting instruments in the recording of the album.
Yeah. No, I think the instruments that we picked, obviously, when we found out that there was going to be like a real like Hammond organ with a Leslie speaker in the studio, it was like too good of an opportunity to not use it on the record, And apart from that, the producer and the recording technician, he's a great musician as well. So we asked him to lay down some organ tracks on a couple of songs. And obviously, we used a little bit of acoustic guitar. Our former bass player who recorded that album, she also played flute and sitar. So, I mean, basically, it was just an attempt to kind of showcase all the talents in the band and even some talents outside of the band.
Did you use the instruments from the 70s era, or you tried?
Yeah, I mean, it gets a bit geeky, actually, because we're a band, and I mean, as personally, we're very influenced by those kind of artists back in the 70s. And that sound is definitely something that we try to achieve. So, like me personally, I tried to go that route, and I used an amplifier, a Marshall amplifier from the 70s. I know that the bass player, she was using a bass and a bass amp from the 70s also. So it gets a bit geeky when we talk about gear.
Well, it's the fun part. Everything should be actually fun. Well, except maybe not the business side. The business side is boring.
Yeah.
But still, you should enjoy it as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in the end, I think it's a good experience, but also I think that probably we're not going to try as hard for the coming albums to kind of recreate the sound of that era. Obviously, we're hugely influenced by it, but I think it can limit you a bit. You can paint yourself into a corner, and I mean, sometimes it's nice to explore some different soundscapes also.
So you mentioned you're working on a new material, or I mean, we're recording in December. The year is over, right? So I guess you've been recording all this time.
Actually, we haven't started with actual recordings.
I meant that you were working on new material.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's basically what we have been doing for the past, during the pandemic and everything like that. We have been locked in our rehearsal space and trying to get new songs as prepared as possible for our upcoming record, basically.
Were you all together in one city? You didn't have to do any Zoom, whatever, live stream kind of things to record or to practice, or?
No, our drummer at that time, he lived a bit outside of the city, so there were some moments, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, where it was basically not possible to rehearse at all. So we had a break for maybe 3 or 4 months, and there was also a lockdown here in Spain, so the rehearsal space was closed, and everything like that.
It was really restrictive here in Catalonia as well. No? Barcelona. Yeah, we had this break, and it got us a bit in the process of this creative process. But we've been composing these new songs, and maybe we will record it until I don't know until when, but try to record it as soon as possible. The material is good. The material is from our point of view, it's really good because it has it will show a kind of something new in terms of influences, because new musicians got into the band, and maybe probably people will listen to something a little bit different.
Is it completely different, or just an exploration in a different sonic environment?
No, I don't think so. It will be completely different. What do you think?
No, I mean, the influences are still the same, and I think that perhaps this is a bit more I don't know how to put it, but there's a lot of more kind of groovy songs, so perhaps a little bit more influenced by 70s rhythm and blues on some tracks. Maybe we went a little bit more metal on some tracks on the last record, and we still have some really heavy tunes on the upcoming one. So it's a mix, and I think that also is something that I was told by some people, that the last record was very diverse, which can be a good and bad thing, because some people like to listen to music that sounds very homogeneous and know what to expect, But I'm kind of more from that school of bands like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, or Black Sabbath even. I mean, it's you listen to a Black Sabbath album, you're going to have songs that are not all Black Sabbath songs are Symptom of the Universe. It's they have a lot of acoustic songs. They have a lot of folky songs. So I really like those kind of groups that are not afraid to explore and to get inspired by different kind of genres.
So is there a concept also behind this album, the new material?
Not really. No, it's I don't think
there is a kind of sub concept, no.
It's not really a musical concept or any lyrical. There's not any red thread that I can see going through the music. Maybe someone else can, but usually when I compose, I just focus on one song and I try to get that song as good as possible, and then maybe another song pops up and that song becomes my like complete focus for the next couple of weeks.
I saw in the credit section of the album that the music and the lyrics are written by Mothercrow, like all collectively. So is it like everybody's participating in the creation of the new of material in general, or do you have strict roles or something like this?
Well, I mean, we have like especially the lyrics. I think that our singer was responsible for the most of the lyrics on the last record. Because of like band policies and stuff like that, we just choose to credit all the lyrics and all the music equally to everyone in the band, basically. When it comes to the music, we have been working in some different ways in the past, but at the moment, it's usually one idea that either comes to the rehearsal space and we try to just like play with it, or I've also like this record, there's been songs that I've written by myself, more or less structured, like have just the meat and the bone, and basically like, okay, guys, what do you think about this? And we try it and we develop it, you know. So I think everyone has their roles in the band. Definitely, we see it as a democracy, but we still have different strengths, you know. So we try to just focus on each the strengths of each person, basically.
In this podcast series, I'm trying to ask questions that would be useful to other musicians. And I wanted to ask you, like you mentioned that everything is divided equally among the band, credit wise, right? Have you written a split sheet, you know, like in case of royalties or something like this? Have you written it, wrote it on paper, what royalties go to whom and how many?
Yeah, I mean, we actually, like for this record we have recorded our first album, we registered it at this is like this in Spain here, it's called SCAE, which is like an association of like authors, basically. And so you can register any work of like music, yeah, basically any work of art, you can just register there, and you have to fill in like the quotas of each person responsible for that piece of art. So that's actually something that we did. Obviously, everyone is going to contribute differently when it comes to songwriting, but since it's still at that level when, I mean, everyone has to put in a lot of work and we're not getting anything out of it really, like economically, that felt at that time, it felt like the right thing to do, because I mean everyone's pulling just as hard and trying to make it happen, you know, going out on the road, playing gigs, and sleeping in uncomfortable places, and you know, everything like that. So for the last record, that we felt that that was the correct thing to do, to split evenly.
Yeah, it's really important to discuss such things in the beginning, because it's always possible that the song becomes a hit and then there's actual real like a lot of income, and then it can be problematic to trying to decide who gets what after.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some well, not really like really close, but I've heard some stories about like acquaintances that had that problem. At that stage, it's obviously hard to keep the group together and move forward as equals if there's one person that's making a lot of money of the music and the rest of the people are just like not making anything almost. So
Did you manage to play any gigs in 2021?
yeah, we have actually a couple. We played the first gig was a seated gig. That was actually, we managed to play a gig in 2020 as well. But that was really like it's more of a streaming thing. We had an audience of maybe like 20 people or something like that.
12 people seated.
Oh yeah, 12 people.
In the beginning, of the pandemic, or in the end of the confinement, I think.
Yeah.
And how was this experience? I mean, it's pretty weird to perform to a camera. I mean,
yeah, and a seated crowd. It's like first gig we did this year was also a seated crowd, but at least we had 100 people. So I mean, it wasn't bad, but I make the comparison that like having a seated crowd at a rock gig is a little bit like having a crowd for like a stand-up comedian, but the crowd is not allowed to laugh. You know.
Yeah.
it's like you get no feedback from the crowd because everyone has to be seated. You can see them moving their heads maybe a little bit, but I think that feedback from the crowd is so important when you're playing. You kind of get that energy of the crowd, and I think you play better.
Yeah, when you play for people who is seated, it's like if people were judging you, you were in a kind of a trial, like in university, for example, because I was making this grade in music, and all the exams was kind of okay. We had to give in the end of the semesters, we had to give some small concert to the teachers, professors, and they were kind of we were in a kind of a musical trial, and it was of course the question is to be playing for people seated and 12 people seated. It was a bit strange because we weren't really in the mood, and the audience as well, because they were kind of as well how can I say, embarrassed, because it was a very embarrassing situation. And of course we were enjoying, but at the same time it was a kind of what is that, what have we been doing in this all this situation of a pandemic situation, and playing for 12 people seated. It was totally different, and if you compare it with the last gig we did here in Barcelona, it's the Sala Upload, the Upload venue, which people were allowed to stay. Well, they checked everyone if everyone took the vaccine, but people were allowed to be standing. Some of them without masks, some of them with masks, and but the feedback, you could feel the feedback from the crowd, and it was amazing. Well, in the end, for me, in the end of the concert, the feeling was like, okay, it was a fucking great concert because all of this now, because it's a kind of a ritual, and the rock concert, they need this kind of ritual, to play rock for 12 people seated is like okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it was a little bit absurd, but we just wanted to have something to look forward to, because at that stage it wasn't like any talk of a concert being back ever again. It's like everyone was a little bit scared that, like, is this the last? I remember so many gigs just because I like to go to concerts myself, and I was just thinking like all the gigs that I missed in 2019 because I said like, no, I'm tired, or I don't have any money, or I don't like. I was just kicking myself for not like going to those gigs because all of a sudden there was nothing.
Yeah, man, back then it was so weird. What I heard from other musicians, local musicians, they said the same thing. Playing to a seated crowd is absolutely devastating. I mean,
Yeah.
it's people are still there, but yes, you're being kind of being judged. I mean, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and with the masks, you can't even see any facial expressions. It's like I don't know.
Just eye expressions. No, people were like, I remember in the last gig to be playing and to see some of them, the people in the audience, some of them with the masks, and you could see that the eyes gestures are like, oh wow, I like that. But of course, you couldn't see the smile or somebody just shouting at us. I don't know.
Are you planning to, with this? You tried a little bit of this live stream, right?
Yeah.
I've seen other bands who has the budget, of course, to do like
Yeah.
a huge show. Are you planning to experiment with that further?
I think that's I definitely don't rule anything out for the future, but I see also that like I respect a lot of bands that are really like trying to do something interesting, something new, and I think there's definitely an audience, but I think that at the moment I'm not sure for a band the size of ours has the enough like a draw to sell. Like, I'm not sure even if our fans would buy the tickets, because the live shows are such important thing for us, and I'm not sure if we could translate what we do on a stage in front of a real audience to a stream. It's almost feels like more like a rehearsal that you're recording. I'm not sure. Like I would have to experiment with that, I think.
Well, probably we all gonna check out how those bands who have the budget, how they will do that, and we'll see how it all goes together. But probably, definitely, in some way, people have to think about it at least of doing that,
Yeah.
because we don't know anything about the situation, what's gonna happen. So this is like a backup. But yeah, regarding the live stuff, I've seen recordings. I haven't seen you live, but I've seen recordings from the show, and you look like super, like, yeah, how you described, perfect live. The energy is like going through I mean, from the screen it goes halfway down, you know, like not completely, but I can imagine like how it in being seen live. And by the way, like who's doing this? The Instagram account.
It's me and the singer Karen, basically.
It looks awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Everything is in a good direction. Goes good with the music. Really spot on. Like really cool stuff.
Oh,
Thanks.
And I also wanted to ask about the previous album.
Sure.
It was crowdfunded, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, crowdfunding is a completely separate beast, as I understand.
Yeah.
How was the experience for you?
It was a good experience, but I don't think that we would do it the same way again. Or actually, for this record, we kind of made the decision we're not going to do a crowdfunding again, even though like we don't have a label that's backing us. So I mean, basically, people think that like, oh, you just put something on the internet and you put some video and people just give you a lot of money, but actually it's really hard work. You have to work a lot, like social media every day. You have to publish stuff, you have to like go after your friends, you have to go after your relatives, like show it to as many people as possible, you know. And because I mean, a small band our size, I mean, we're not really famous, maybe a little bit on a local level, like people here in Barcelona know about us, and more like on a national level, I guess, if you talk about this small community of like bands that play this kind of music that we do. But to reach out to a lot of people is really hard, and to have people, like ask people to give you money for some project that you're going to do, it's hard work.
How did you prepare for the campaign? How long it took you? How long in advance where you started thinking about it?
I think we were planning it for maybe like a month or something like that, but really like planning, okay, like every step that we were going to do. We were also like preparing material that we were going to upload on our social media every day. We tried to at that moment, I think it was we just looked at other bands, other campaigns, like, okay, so how did they do? We had some videos recorded in our rehearsal space, like presentations of the band, interviews. So like all that had to be obviously filmed and edited, and so yeah.
For how long was it running?
I think it was 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was 30 days, and yeah, we reached the goal, so that was great.
Congrats, you have an album.
Thank you. Yeah. But then also it's a thing, you know, with the crowdfunding is like, okay, so obviously not all the money goes straight to the artist. Like every platform has a commission fee, and you know, like, and also there's taxes that you have to pay if you want to do it the right way, which at that stage we actually did.
Congrats on that. Not many people even know that they should.
Yeah. So basically, you're selling a record. So I mean, you're selling a product in advance. I don't know. I think that we were just a little bit scared. We were just like, okay, maybe we should pay taxes because who knows, you know.
In this case, you should. If you're doing the crowdfunding, everything should be right. Did you think how you're going to promote the album once it comes out?
No, not really. We did, however, hire a local guy who has his own like a media, like music production company, and we did pay him for basically promotion to get our album to like different kind of music blogs and like magazines and stuff like that. That was something we did, so that we were actually like prepared the launch, and but that was like outside of the budget. The goal we set for the crowdfunding, it was more or less like what's the realistic amount we can get for this album, and then like add some.
If you put a little bit more, maybe people would not be there, because I know that the promoting of an album, or in general the release, is quite expensive.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you know, that like different crowdfunding sites have different conditions. Like in our case, we were using this site where if you don't reach your objective users, they get a refund, basically. So it's like make or break.
So you chose this platform because of that?
The name of the platform is Verkami.
I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword, because obviously you give also the fans a bit of an incentive to like be a little bit more involved, because if the band doesn't reach the goal, then they're not going to get the product either, so that's one good thing. But also obviously the bad thing is that if you don't reach a goal, then you don't get any money. So but in our case, so we set a goal that was an objective that was optimistic, but also at the same time it was realistic, I thought.
Well, I looked a little bit on the campaign. That's what's left of it, and well, I mean, it looks like you really prepared, and it was your first campaign, as I understand.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
What was the biggest challenge? Promotion, probably, right? Getting people to chip in.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge is, I guess, that it's a bit the same as all social media. You're just like, you're preparing a lot of content, you're doing a lot of work, and sometimes it feels like you're not getting any response, or you're not getting the response that you expect. Or I mean, it's just like you just have to push through and like be consistent, like every day. It's not like you can just say like, okay, so now we published a campaign. Now we just have to sit and wait for 30 days and see if we're going to make it. Like the challenge is that you have to be consistent and promote it every day, through the band's social media, through your personal social media, like talk to your friends about it, try to reach out to everyone who could be interested, and that's like, yeah, finding the motivation to kind of like do it every day, even when you don't feel like it.
All crowdfunding campaigns are really stressful. As soon as you start it, you see this ticker of money going in, going slow. How was it actually? Slower? How was it? Gradual increase?
Yeah, I think it was a lot in the beginning, and it was a lot during the end. So it was like there was definitely like a slow period in the middle where we were like a bit worried, like, okay, it's not moving, like the counter is not moving. Did we hit the ceiling? Like, what's happening? But I guess that there's an effect first, like, okay, there's something new. People who are really like the band, they commit instantly, and then you have the people who are always a bit late. They wait until the very end, but the middle part was challenging. And I mean, also just creating something that looks attractive, because in a crowdfunding, in my opinion, should never be like you're asking for money to do something that you're gonna like I'm gonna get something. I mean, you have to offer something that the person who commits to the crowdfunding campaign gets something out of. I mean, it has to be worth it for the person who spends that amount of money. In our case, one of the perks that we had for the people who gave us money for the crowdfunding was that we had a special vinyl pressing, like a special color, for example. So stuff like that, people should feel that, okay, I'm doing this for you, but I'm getting something back that's really worth it. It's not like charity.
Yeah, I mean, the whole campaign was, I mean, that was successful is great, and the album looks cool. The vinyl looks cool. Everything is super, like so many details. The album cover is awesome. Like, this is an album that you would like to own.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're very happy with it. I mean, I have 2 copies here, one of each color, and I don't take them out much, but yeah, I mean, the artwork is fantastic, I think.
And I have a traditional question that I ask everybody I know, music related, is like, what do you think about audio cassette?
I think that it's something that we've never really discussed, to be honest. I know that it's coming back, and I know that a lot of people are collecting cassettes, and it's also like much cheaper way to distribute music, like analog music, than a vinyl, obviously. But I think that maybe for our like fan base, like, I'm not sure how it would sell, but we haven't really thought about it that much, because in the scene, like the local scene, and also like bands that we think belong to more or less the same genres of music in general, like in Europe, cassettes is not something that you see that often. I think that maybe if you look a bit more towards like the punk scene and stuff like that, you can see it a little bit more. Definitely when it's like more of the 80s vibe, perhaps. I don't know. I haven't got that much experience with cassettes, to be honest.
I was doing research recently, checking out who's offering cassettes and which labels are offering. Just for example, I went to Napalm Records, Nuclear Blast, all these major labels, and there are not so many cassettes there, but I found a lot on Bandcamp, of course. And what's interesting, a lot of electronic music. There was a band, I forget the name, but
the name of the band is Blood Red Shoes.
They're planning to release 400 audio cassettes.
Wow,
this is like some major impact. But we'll see. I think majors will not be interested for now. They have vinyl, but cassettes will go more for independent local bands.
Yeah, and also I think that, I mean, there's obviously been like underground movements with like, especially like the death metal, the black metal scene, where you had a lot of like demos. I mean, being passed around, like underground stuff. I think that like underground music has always had a place with the cassettes. I think that probably it's something that is always going to be something that I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think the CD is going to go away either.
How is the music scene in Barcelona? You know, it's considered to be one of the creative centers in Europe. You said you come from Sweden and Brazil.
Yeah.
Were there some things that surprised you that was strictly a Barcelonian thing?
One of the things that more caught my attention is the diversity of this scene. Barcelona, talking to a Brazilian, every city in the countryside in Brazil is huge, no, in terms of territory. And Barcelona is, for me, it's a, I would not say it's a small city, but it's a very dense city in terms of population. And you have in this, for me, this is the way I see Barcelona in terms of a general scene, is a small place with a huge diversity in terms of music from lots of many parts from the world, Latin America, Brazilian musicians playing here, jazz musicians from United States playing here, us playing rock music here. One of the things I most like is that, I don't go a lot because of the money, of course, to rock gigs every week. But every week, if you want to go to a rock gig, you can go, because you always have a rock gig here. You have people playing soul music. You have lots of as you can see in these venues, like Salah Upload, for example. In 1 week, you can have a rock concert, you can have a soul music concert, and you can have some jazz and salsa, all kinds of music. Because it's, of course, it's a very cosmopolitan city in terms of many people from many parts of the world living here. It's interesting. Well, in general terms, no?
Yeah, and I think obviously, like from my perspective, coming from Stockholm, in Stockholm we have really good music, especially if you look at the Swedish acts. But it's not. I don't get the impression that Stockholm has as much going on, especially like on weekdays. Like here in Barcelona, at least before the pandemic, it was a lot like going on. You could go on a Wednesday and you can see like a band from, I don't know, like the US coming through on tour, playing a small venue. So I mean, there was always something going on, and for me it was really nice to be able to catch a lot of those bands going through Europe, like on European tours, because like not all bands have the financial means to make it all the way up to Scandinavia. You know, it's usually they tour a bit around like Germany, France, and not even all bands make it to Spain. But I think it's more common than bands that go to Stockholm to play.
What venue would you recommend for like bands that play your type of music? Because some musicians, you know, like they will know you, and maybe there are some venues that you would recommend that they would contact that would be in similar genre.
Yeah, actually,
Nowadays,
it's difficult because the place, like there was one place that was really the champion of like rock music. It's a small venue that was called Rock Sound, and I think that if you listen,
really the center of the rock scene here, no? Rock Sound.
yeah.
The place, the venue, which everyone who likes rock and go to rock gigs, or if you don't go to rock gigs, you go to a bar to listen to rock and to stay with your people. You know, it was this bar, and this bar just they.
Yeah, they had to close, unfortunately, because the building they decided to level it. and build some expensive housing there, I guess, or some offices or something like that. So that's a big shame. But I think that the name Rock Sound is probably familiar with most of the artists in Europe that have been touring, coming through Barcelona, because I mean, you had some incredible bands playing that venue, and I'm talking like.
And now, what venue would you recommend?
It's hard because there's not really at the moment like one rock venue that's like where the people, yeah, the specific for this genre of music. I think there's several small venues that are obviously good, but they're just like venues that would put on anything if you just pay them the right amount of money. So
You mentioned that you don't have a label at the moment, right?
exactly, yeah.
Is that one of the goals? Do you want to be signed?
Under the right conditions, I mean, there's different kinds of deals you can have with a record label. For our last record, we had what you could maybe call just like almost like a distribution deal. We had this label that manufactured all the vinyls, and we got like a part of all the manufactured records for free, and they got another part for them that they could sell. So it was kind of like a split. Like we make these records, you get some records, we get some records. We both sell them independently of each other, and that way you can have your music on vinyl. So I mean, for this time around, I think that we're definitely looking into signing with a label that's going to support us to help with the promotion, and because I mean, our ambition is to reach more people than we did last time, and I think that there's some labels already last time around that were interested in our record that we ended up not signing with because we were very anxious to just get it out, basically. So we just, the first really good offer, well, acceptable offer that we got was like, okay, let's go with that one, because it wasn't signing our rights to anyone. We weren't like losing anything as far as like copyrights or like royalties or anything like that. It was just like, okay, let's make some records, and because obviously we had to deliver the records to the people for the crowdfunding.
Are you going to change with all the experience from the crowdfunding and recording and considering the labels? How does it affect you in thinking about the release of the upcoming album?
Yeah, I think that you have to be a little bit patient. I think the problem is that when you have something recorded, or at least you have something, maybe you don't have the final mixes yet, but you actually have something really nice to show to a label, to get them to make a move and like start planning. I mean, especially when we're talking about vinyls that can take like 6 months or even more to just press. I mean, you have to be really patient, I think, especially if you want to get as good of a deal as possible. You have to talk to a lot of different labels. You have to check like so what's the options? What are the options we have right now? And so if you're in a rush, I think you're probably risking making a bad decision, or at least not making the best decision. And I think for this time, that unfortunately means that we're going to have a record recorded, and maybe we're not going to be able to release it as fast as we want to. But what we could potentially do is to get some singles or some music videos out in the meantime before an actual launch of a record that's on a physical format.
Are you still planning to do the vinyls? Because what I know from the situation with vinyl in the industry right now, like there's a lot of delay. Everybody is like trying to do vinyls now, and it will take longer than before to press something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that depending also on the label, some people or some labels get a little bit of they pass the line sometimes. You know, it's like a big customer of they usually can get a better timeline than a small independent artist, for example. So, I mean, signing with a bigger label is, I mean, obviously that's one of the perks. But if we have to wait a bit longer, I mean, I guess it's just like tough luck, you know.
Maybe try tapes.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe just a limited edition of 20 copies. Who knows?
Yeah. No, but it's important to really plan a release in the right way, and and yeah, we'll definitely keep a lot of different things in mind before we decide on who is going to press our vinyl. But hopefully, we can start throwing out the hooks before we even have a finished product, and attract some attention from some label that is hopefully going to make us a deal that we can accept.
Yeah, and don't forget about the lawyers. Always read the contract, please.
Yeah. Yes. I know. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult place, I think, right now. But also, I mean, I guess I understand the industry, how it works, and right now with streaming services not really making a lot of money for anyone. I mean, except the really, really, really big artists. Any band that play music that are like pretty underground or pretty niche is gonna have a really hard time making music off the streams.
I think that streams for independent artists, a small one, is just a promotional tool.
Yeah.
Of course, later down the line, you get money from this royalties and streams. Yeah, but in the beginning, it's no way. The only way to get the income is merch sales, live gigs. We'll see how it goes with the streams, how it goes further down the line. But still, the physical stuff is winning. It's the only way at the moment.
Yeah.
So now you're focused on working on the new material, finishing it up, and then recording it next year sometime.
Yeah, we have a date. We have booked some days in a recording studio, in the same recording studio as last time, actually.
Which one was it? Which
it's called Sol de Sans here in Barcelona.
I'm just trying to plug local names.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it's a great studio. I would recommend it really to anyone. And we have a great relation with the owner, like the co-owner, and the guy who produced and recorded our last record. I think that's something that's really, really important. You actually are comfortable in the studio. You have a good feeling with someone, and that's going to make you perform better, I think.
No, the space is really important. Everything physical is important. The instruments, the atmosphere, everything is going into the music. You can feel it with every note.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we're out of time. The hour goes really fast.
Yeah, it does.
Where would you like the listeners to follow you, or what would you like the listeners to do?
Well, first of all, I guess that Instagram is our most active channel, and we publish a lot of nice photos from our live shows. So definitely go and follow us on Instagram. It's the Mothercrow official, but if you just search for the Mothercrow, it's going to come up, obviously. And go and follow us on Spotify as well. That way, you're sure not to be missing when our next album comes out, and hopefully it's going to be soon. So
I will also include the links in the show notes of the episode so people can check out.
Thank you.
In the end, I put the song. What do you want to put?
I think that we would like to put the first song of the record. It's called Revolution, and that way you have the perfect segue into listening to the rest of the record.
It's an excellent record, and people should check it out. And there's still vinyl copies left, I think.
We have very few left. But yes, we have,
which means limited edition, highly valuable stuff.
Exactly, and we're not sure when we're going to press more of this one. So yeah, there's a few. You can go onto our Bandcamp page and you can get it there. So if you want to have the orange limited to 300 copies vinyl, then you should definitely act fast.
Max and Daniel, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Arthur. It was a pleasure to be with you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really nice to have a chat.
Thank you so much for listening to Interceptor Beyond podcast. If you want to quote the show, you can find the transcribed version of this episode at the website, interceptorbeyond.com. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like what you're hearing, make sure you rate the show everywhere you listen to podcasts.